How's it going, everyone? It's your host, Andrew Shots here, and as you already saw in the thumbnail, today we'll be going over when did Naruto surpass his teachers or his mentors. The three figureheads being Iruka, Jiraiya, and Kakashi. I won't be including characters such as Asuma, Killer Bee, Fukusaku, and so on, as although Naruto did learn a thing or two during their time with them, and he was under their wing for a short period of time, they didn't exactly have much of a permanent impact on Naruto on a personal note, as say the other three did. And also to prevent making this into an hour-long video. Regardless of any of that, let's get into this. Now, the first person I'll be going over is Iruka. For a quick summary, Iruka was the academy instructor of Konoha, and later on in Boruto era became the principal of the academy. Unlike the other two that I'll be going over in a bit, Iruka is very strange on where exactly to scale him, given how few feats we have to base him off, despite being one of the most oldest characters to be introduced in the story, and predominantly the first person to open himself to Naruto. Following the first chapter of the manga, Iruka managed to brush from Naruto's side and withstood multiple kunai that were flung at him by Mizuki. He also was able to react and withstand a giant shuriken that landed directly at his back to save him. Other than that, Iruka was about to be killed by Mizuki before Naruto pulled out 1,000 multi-shadow clones to save him. Now, some would like to argue that Iruka would have done better if it weren't for Naruto, which is fair. For example, when Naruto confronted and busted out his shadow clones against Ebisu, Ebisu stated that it was merely child's play and that trick would have only worked against a weak-minded person like Mizuki. Another thing to note, Mizuki stated that he wasn't all that impressive when using his shadow clones and could only muster up around 3 of them during Naruto's graduation exam. In a filler arc, when during Iruka's fight against Mizuki, Iruka was actually doing fairly well, if not better than Mizuki, and Mizuki has previously stated that he was stronger than ever before. Even when Mizuki turned into a giant furball and was dominated against Iruka, Iruka used some sort of hand seal jutsu to muzzle Mizuki until Naruto KO'd him with a Rasengan, and after devolving himself into a limpid mummy. In one of the data books, Iruka completed around 500 missions, with 22 being A-rank missions. Compare that to someone like Ebisu, who completed less ninja missions than Iruka and only one A-rank mission. Even though Ebisu did more B-rank missions than Iruka, both him and Iruka sort of balance each other out, and Ebisu is a Jonin while Iruka is a Chunin. Also, I'm aware that completing more ninja missions doesn't exactly equate to one's strength, and it could likely mean absolutely nothing, but it's something to point out, as I said previously, that Iruka doesn't really have much to go with. Now, many would argue that Naruto surpassed Iruka literally the first chapter, Zabuza arc, Chunin exam, Tsunade's retrieval arc, or at least Valley of the End Naruto, but in the anime, after the time skip, Iruka stated that Naruto had a long way to go before he could surpass him, which Naruto didn't deny. During the war arc, Iruka quote-unquote supposedly subdued Naruto in a single location when he used his string light formation, which essentially is a barrier ninjutsu technique, and Naruto broke out of it when he went to his KCM form. Now, this could go in two ways. Either one, Naruto had to rely on his KCM to break free, which if it's true, would be a massive feat for Iruka, even though one of the other ninjas was using shadow possession jutsu on Naruto. Or two, Naruto could have broken out of it with his base, but essentially wanted to express his new form to Iruka and show him on how much he's grown since his training. Now, I'll let you guys decide on whether or not Naruto needed to use his KCM to break free, but in one of the data books, Iruka had bulk standard stats for a shinobi for the exception of his intelligence and hand seals, where his intelligence racks up to 4.5 out of 5 and his hand seals is out of 4. Fundamentally enough, I'm not the biggest fan of using the anime feats, especially the filler for that matter, but as I said previously, there isn't really much I could go with. Now, the question on when did Naruto surpass Iruka? Now, Naruto most likely surpassed Iruka during the Chunin exams, opposed to his fight against either Neji or Gaara, or more comfortably during the time skip, despite Iruka's claim that Naruto had a long way to go to surpass him after Naruto returned to the village. Also, Iruka isn't aware of what sort of rigorous training Naruto's been through since the time skip or what crazy feats Naruto pulled off when Iruka wasn't present during the part 1 of the series. I feel more comfortable saying Naruto surpassed Iruka in the time skip as opposed to part 1, as in part 1, Naruto would almost rely on borrowing the Kyuubi's power whenever he was in a tight situation, whether it was in the Zabuza arc, Chunin exams, or in the Valley of the End. So for me, the safe answer is after the time skip. Alright, now the next person we'll be going over is Jiraiya. Jiraiya was a former pupil under the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, and one of the legendary Sannin alongside with Orochimaru and Tsunade. Now, unlike with Iruka, we have actual feats we can go off by instead of plain statements from either the data books or the anime. For the short version, Naruto surpassed Jiraiya when Naruto gained mastery over Sage Mode. Naruto's whole premise for him to have mastery over Sage Mode is so he could avenge his master, and in order for him to do that, it's easy to say he had to surpass him. It's been stated and pointed out numerous times throughout the series, and saying otherwise contradicts what the narrative was trying to imply. why. Fukusaku stated this once when Naruto mastered Sage Mode during his training on Mount Nyaboku, and again during Naruto's fight against Pain. Now this is the same frog that fought alongside with Jiraiya against arguably the 3 weakest paths of Pain. This was the same person that trained Jiraiya for him to acquire Sage Mode in the past, and even after all that training, Jiraiya still couldn't master Sage Mode despite him training longer compared to Naruto, which is why he had some toad features around his body whenever he tapped into Sage Mode. For those who want to bring up the Pain statement, Jiraiya could have potentially defeated Pain after he found out about his secret, I won't elaborate on this, but something tells me that if Jiraiya was having trouble dealing with arguably the 3 weakest paths of Pain, albeit except for the animal path, what is Jiraiya going to do against the rest of the paths of Pain, especially the Asura and the Diva path? Since this video is obviously not about Naruto versus Jiraiya, and I'm simply giving the premise on what point did Naruto surpass Jiraiya, as I said previously, I believe Naruto surpassed Jiraiya the moment he mastered Sage Mode, or more specifically the moment Naruto showed up to face the 6 paths of Pain. Now I'm not saying Naruto could have done this either, since Pain was obviously weakened during his invasion of Konoha, but I'm just trying to disprove the fact on how ridiculous it is to assume that Jiraiya could have 6v1 against the paths of Pain. Of course, if you're under the assumption that Jiraiya would have fought the 6 paths of Pain instead of looking for the real one, you can bring up feats such as Sage Jiraiya blitzing the human path, or speed feat against the Naruka path, but I could argue that Naruto performed better feats than Sage Jiraiya, or at least on par with his, which I'll show you later in the video. Now finally, the final person I'll be going over is Kakashi. Kakashi is considered one of the most elite Jonin in Konoha, and was nicknamed Kakashi of the Sharingan. Now unlike the other two, you could potentially bring up the argument that both Kakashi and Naruto surpassed each other a few times in the series. Now when Team Kakashi was facing off against Kakuzu, Kakashi flat out said that Naruto surpassed him the moment Naruto whipped out and landed his Rasen Shuriken against Kakuzu. I don't believe this to be the case, and I know there will be people who disagree with me, but I believe Kakashi was being more so humble or modest during the heat of the moment, and it's more than likely it's just one of those throwaway statements like what Pain said against Jiraiya. Regardless, again, there will be people who will disagree with me, but I believe Naruto surpassed Kakashi when he mastered Sage Mode during the Pain arc. When someone is in Sage Mode, they gain a tremendous boost in their stats, such as their strength, as we were shown Naruto lifting up a big toad statue in Mount Nyaboku, or that time Naruto threw a fucking rhinoceros into the sky like it was nothing. Also, Sage Mode does boost the user's speed, stamina, reflexes, healing ability, and durability, as we saw Naruto falling from a decent height and landing on solid ground with receiving minor scratches, if any at all. Another thing to include is that Sage Mode Naruto is capable of defeating, if not blitzing, the Asura path, arguably one of those durable paths of Pain for the exception of the Diva path, with a single Rasengan. The same path that survived against a giant punch from Choza, tanking Kakashi's Chidori, and despite all that, was still capable of charging up one final missile towards Choji before finally collapsing, and Naruto defeated it as it wasn't a problem in the first place. If you pay close attention when Tsunade confronted Pain, she was a good distance away when Naruto was standing, and despite the Asura path charging towards Tsunade at full speed, Naruto still managed to close the gap and intercept between the two of them in time. Remember, the paths of Pain could share their point of view with one another thanks to their Rinnegan ability, so they could help what the others couldn't see. So despite this advantage, the Asura path still couldn't react in time to dodge Naruto's Rasengan. Even though Naruto's a good distance away, is pretty impressive, and arguably a better speed feat compared to what Jiraiya demonstrated in his Sage Mode, but that's a topic for another time. Also, Naruto's pretty terrified in hand-to-hand combat. As I said previously, Naruto is ridiculously strong, and then on top of the fact that even if someone misses, even if it was done intentionally or unintentionally, they could still be hit with his frog kata the same way as Naruto did against the Prita path. I guess most people, they could probably only take a few hits before either dying or getting knocked out. Even if someone were to attack Naruto in close combat, Naruto has amazing reflexes, as we saw Naruto is capable of reacting to Third Raikage's attack, who I don't need to explain how fast he is. I'm aware this occurred early on in the 4th grade Shinobi War, and Naruto could have gotten stronger or had better senses with his Sage Mode compared to his fight against Pain, but it's still something to note. During the war arc, we saw Madara, that had recently acquired Sage Mode from Hashirama, managed to dodge a point-blank range from Tobirama, who is considered one of the fastest shinobi in the franchise. Although this is an extreme example, this could give at least some sort of general idea on how impressive Sage Mode could be while dodging. Also, Kakashi fought against the Asura and the Diva path, while Naruto battled all 6 of them and managed to defeat 5 out of the 6 paths of Pain before finally being pinned down by the Diva path. I can already see the hate comments saying Naruto only managed to defeat the paths of Pain the way he did. It is because they depleted a good chunk of their chakra after the Diva path used Shinra Tensei to destroy Konoha, and because of this, the Diva path was out of commission for a while, while adding Naruto did receive help from the other toads, which is fair, but if you want to go down that route, Kakashi also received help from Choza and Choji, along with other shinobi as well, to fight against the Asura and the Diva path. Also, Naruto was fighting Pain on a plain surface, as compared to Kakashi, who could hide and strategize until finding the right opportunity to rise and attack. So to me, they both basically even themselves out. Also, this isn't a debate on who will win Sage Naruto against Kakashi, Kakashi. So I'm not saying who will win a battle between the two, but I'm saying that in terms of overall power, I believe Naruto surpassed Kakashi during the Pain arc. As I mentioned earlier, you can bring up a case that Kakashi quote unquote surpassed Naruto during the War arc, the moment when Madara ripped out the Nine Tails chakra from Naruto. Ignoring the fact Naruto was dying, at that point, the best thing Naruto could have mustered up was Sage Mode, and at that moment, he didn't have KCM anymore. And in the War arc, Kakashi has gotten stronger since compared to his old self in the Pain arc, so saying Kakashi was stronger than Sage Naruto isn't too much of a reach. Though it would not be long after Naruto would surpass him again when he acquired the Sage of Six Paths chakra when he was slapping around Jubi Madara, compared to before when he was struggling against him. Originally I was going to discuss Kakashi Susanoo, but then very soon realized it would be better for me to at least leave that out, just for the sole reason that if I do go over it, I'll be entering into dangerous waters here, and I can already see the hate comments already, debunking anything I would have to say either about Naruto or Kakashi Susanoo. So it's best to leave it up to you guys on that topic in the comment section below. That's it for today's video. If you like the sort of content I post, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out. Oops, I completely forgot about Yamato. How could I forget about Yamato? Alright, but to make it quick, Naruto surpassed him when he mastered Sage Mode. There. Finished. I'm done. That's a wrap. Woo!